Raised in Hastings and proud to be a 2005 Hastings High School graduate, it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Eric Kuhn.
Thank you, Mr. A. I have to admit, when you called to ask if I could speak at graduation, I was a little surprised. After all, it was only 8 years ago I sat on Reynolds Field graduating. Mr. A, I had to ask, didn't you call the 5 Nobel Prize winners that came from Hastings first? Was Ricky Lake or Keith Olbermann too busy? Don't answer that question. I'm glad you did call. After all, I can't say enough how much I appreciate the way Hastings prepared me for college and for life. I did wonder, though, would I be delivering this speech on a grass field or on a turf field? Too soon? Okay, I wasn't really worried about that. But I was worried whether or not I was really cool enough to come back to my hometown, which the New York Times this year described as hipsterbia. Were my jeans really skinny enough? I am truly honored to be here today, and I want to discuss 2 things with you. First is the word no. The second is about the changing world in which you are graduating into. It's a scary word. It makes you feel uncomfortable, self-conscious, judged, rejected. We learn that word as a baby, and we hear it the rest of our lives. No is the reason we don't take risks, apply for jobs, or ask someone out on a date. When Mr. A's introduction made my journey from sitting exactly where you are to here today seem easy, but I've actually lost count of how many people have said no to me along the way. My story begins senior year at Hastings High School when Mr. Marciano asked if I wanted to join the school's television news show, WHHS. The show aired on local public access alongside blockbuster reality hits such as school zoning meetings. It was the 2004 presidential election primaries, and I jumped at Mr. Marciano's offer. I soon suggested we conduct interviews, meet the press style, with someone running for president. One candidate, the Reverend Al Sharpton, was receiving a ton of buzz, and I thought it could be cool to bring him on the show. I was half naive, half determined, and half moronic. Everyone told me he would say no. I wasn't sure where to begin, but searched online and found his press secretary's email and sent her a note. Radio silence. After a couple of emails, I emailed her, or after a couple of minutes or days, I emailed her again. By the way, in those days, I would have to run home to check if she had emailed me back on my home computer, or I would have to go to a computer lab in the school. Finally, I received a polite form email from her thanking me for my interest but declining due to the busy presidential candidate's schedule. So, no. I was discouraged, but I really wanted a yes. If email didn't work, I found her office phone number and started calling. I left a voice message, and then another, and then another. Those were on flip phones. I wasn't going to give up. Finally, one day, to my surprise, I called, and she picked up. I told her I was the political correspondent for the most popular television show at Hastings High School, and we needed to interview Al Sharpton. I held my breath. No gradually turned into a maybe, and then became a yes. A few weeks later, our show aired a 30-minute interview with the presidential candidate. I knew I had been bitten by the journalism bug. After graduating, I attended Hamilton College, inspired by my time at Hastings, and signed up to host a show at my college radio station. A small station in a small town, in a small college in upstate New York. Again, I wanted to interview noteworthy figures and started going after guests. We could not book anybody. I heard that word no again repeated. Despite desperate to no longer be rejected, my frustration turned into opportunity. I decided to launch a podcast so I could tell my potential guests that we had a global audience. This intrigued them, and slowly I began to hear the golden yes. I had solved one problem, but I created another. I was rapidly falling in love with the business of journalism, a business that was rapidly declining. Journalism in the real world wasn't booming like business, like the Buzzer or WHHS. We were in the middle of a great recession, the economy was bad, and when an economy is bad, no is what you hear a lot. But if I wanted to do what I loved, I had to figure out where journalism was heading, how to carve out a role for myself, and how to get around all the people constantly saying no to me. I spent the next few years networking, seeking advice, and learning everything I could. More importantly, I figured out that social media was on the horizon. During my summer internships, I taught people in newsrooms how to use these new tools. When I was ready to graduate, I started searching for a job. Recruiters wanted 5 to 15 years of experience. When I told hiring managers Twitter would be the next big thing, I was looked at in a funny way and quickly shown the door. But finally, I found a kindred spirit in the then president of CNN, John Klein, who wasn't afraid of new ideas, even from a 21-year-old. John's mantra was simple: think big, embrace change. He hired me and I started running social media for CNN, the first job of its kind in the world of news. And after 2 years at the network, I got the opportunity of a lifetime when one of Hollywood's biggest talent agencies heard my point of view on social media and hired me as the industry's first social media agent. I've never held a job that someone else has held before me. But in this new job, I was back to square one, convincing Hollywood skeptics of the value of social media and new technologies. No is often part of getting to yes. And today, almost all of you follow your favorite actors, tweeting and Instagramming all the way. This is part of my story, which is about an industry evolving and people learning how to adapt and interact in a world changing at lightning speed. It is a world in which you grew up in, and it is a world that is going to shape your story. This moment begins an exciting chapter in your story. Do not allow others to write it. Since this is your story, you should own it. Make sure to fill it with the things you love so you can follow a path that keeps you up late and gets you up early. Your possibilities are endless, and you can do anything. Why do I say that? Not because I'm plagiarizing from something I found on graduationspeech.com. It's because you are graduating into a world during an amazing era where change and disruption are constant and where people our age are playing pivotal roles. We're living in an era where technology is the great equalizer. Your understanding of this technology gives you opportunities which have never before been available to people your age. It touches every industry. Medical devices have turned into apps, reshaping what it means to be a doctor. Social media has brought down governments, reshaping what it means to be a politician. Online courses have reshaped what it means to be an educator. Banking, law, hospitality, the list goes on and on. When I graduated from Hastings in 2005, we used MySpace. Facebook.com had just launched a few months prior and only had 5 million users. Today, you all communicate with each other through bizarre Snapchats. Grandparents, you can ask your grandkids about that later. Imagine how exciting the next 4 years will be as you venture away from high school. Someone sitting here will revolutionize an industry, someone will launch a company, and someone will come up with a creative solution for an age-old problem. The best part about graduating today is you don't have to wait for a college diploma or a boss to give you permission to change the world. You can start today. Many of you have, using your skills to help your families, neighbors, and communities. Most of you have participated in the Thanksgiving dinner for the homeless. 4 of you have used the oldest form of technology, a wheel, to bike across America. I followed some of your photos on Facebook, which isn't creepy at all. Other classmates of yours have achieved amazing breakthroughs in the sciences, winning awards and sharing your ideas at prestigious conferences around America. As you go on your journey, know that change and uncertainty are inevitable. And the faster the change, the more you will hear no. So use your knowledge of this changing world and use it to your advantage. But always remember that technology allows you to skip a lot, but it doesn't allow you to skip the basics. Don't let technology fill the void of hard work or be an excuse to disconnect from others. The internet and social media are just tools. History has shown that those who know how to use the tools lead the change, but those who understand traditions sustain it. You cannot be an innovator if you don't know about the past and how it influences the now. Whether it's a typewriter, a tablet, or a tweet, there are certain things you can learn from those older than you. So seek out mentors and surround yourself with great people. Some of my mentors were right here at Hastings High School. Miss Newman, Miss Rice, Miss Ural, Senora de Rubes, and of course, Mr. Marciano, who hopefully still wears a bow tie and rocks back and forth. The most important part of your story is right here, Hastings. I know whatever you do after this, you will be prepared, and that's because of this special and amazing community you have the privilege to be graduating from. And it's not just because we have an awesome gluten-free bakery. This community has provided you with a foundation to explore your passions, encourage you to think outside the box, and has taught you the value of hard work. And in an age of rapid change, this solid base you have gained here on the Hudson River will allow you to embrace that change with confidence. Remember the people sitting next to you, your parents behind you, and your friends and teachers around you. Every now and then, don't just tweet them, call them. Put away your phone sometimes and hang out with them face to face. Take out a piece of paper and pen and occasionally write them a note. Embrace technology, but don't hide behind it, letting digital possibilities become barriers. Hastings High School class of 2013, I'm excited for all the possibilities in front of you. I salute you as you embrace change and the challenges of no and embark on an amazing journey of yes. Congratulations.